I had chest infection, then I took shingles. And then I started to I was doing a lot of thinking about prayer and healing, and I was thinking to myself, we see in all the third world countries people being raised from the dead, people being healed from sickness, and I'm like, God, I just want to see a miracle here. We're praying and nothing's happening. And so exactly a year ago last week, God gave me an early Mother's Day present. He rose me from the dead. So I ended up at the doctor the Friday night and the Saturday night. I was feeling pretty sick. So by the Saturday morning, I had to text two of my girls to say, you need to come and get Chelsea because I can't cope. So they came over and spent both days with me. So my eldest daughter came in at 3 on the Sunday, and I said, I think you need to ring a locum. And she was starting to ring the locum, and she said, no, Mum, you're going to the doctor. So long story short, I ended up in the doctor's office. I rested in the doctor's office. So he was calling an ambulance, and he said to me, I picked my phone up. I went for an ECG, and for a couple of days I was saying, I shall not die but live to declare the works of the Lord. I was actually speaking it out. I was having death thoughts. And so when I went for my ECG, as I was walking back into the doctor's office, I was like, okay, God, I deliver my spirit into your hands and your will be done. And that's the last thing I remember besides ringing my daughter to say, the doctor's getting me an ambulance. So when I arrested 3 times. I arrested in the cath lab when I got to the hospital. And the doctor said that they had opened the artery, and they said, let's just see what happens. And that's when my heart stopped. So he did a 30-minute CPR, and nothing happened. So they all de-scrubbed. And he said they were just walking to the doors to tell the girls that I was gone, because by this time I'd been dead at least 5 minutes. And the machine started beeping. And they're like, oh, there's a response here.
Wow.
And so, yeah, God is so good. And so, the doctors went out and they said to the girls, she's come around, but it's still not good, because I was down so long that I would be brain dead. I'd be a vegetable. And so that was it. This all happened on the Sunday. Monday morning, 10 o'clock, my daughter Karen rang and said, I know the doctors haven't finished the round, but I just want to see how Mum is. And then I said, oh, she's conscious and she's waving and she's nodding and she's pointing up, but she can't talk because she's got tubes down her throat. And so Karen was pretty excited. So then my eldest daughter, she rang Karen and said, oh, Mum's okay. And she said, yeah, no, I was talking to the nurse. She's conscious. She said, no, Mum is awake and she's with it. She just rang me and said, bring in my phone charger. I need to ring my sister, let her know I'm all right. My car needs registering, so you need to register my car. And so it was just amazing. Everyone was in shock. And even when the doctor came, she said, there's no medical explanation for what happened in there. And I just, one of my favorite Psalms, which I just wanted, I'm just going to read the first few verses. It's Psalm 91. I love this Psalm. Those who live in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. This I declare about the Lord. He alone is my refuge, my place of safety. He is my God, and I trust him, for he will rescue you from every trap and protect you from every deadly disease. And, that is God. And, when I came around, they put me in induced coma, and my spiritual daughter, Amber, stayed overnight with me because there's only one visitor because of COVID. And the rest had to go home to children. And so Amber knows I love worship. I put worship on and just let it play all night while I'm asleep, plays through the whole house. And so Amber stuck worship to my ear on her phone, and she just had that playing. And then my good friend Louise rang, and Amber put the phone to my ear, and Louise is like, "Come on, Molly, get that Scottish blood up. You need to start fighting." And I start pulling the tubes, and the doctors are like, "She shouldn't be doing that right now because I'm in a coma." So Amber says, "See you, Louise," and sticks the worship back in my ear. And the next morning, I came around. So it's just an absolute miracle that I'm standing here today.
Yeah. Wow.
And you know, this scripture's been going through my head all week. No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind can even imagine what the Lord can do in you.
So good.
For those who love the Lord.
Come on.
And you know, it is just all God. You know, I'm not because of anything I've done. It's because of who He is and what He's done in me.
Yeah.
So I just give Him all the praise and the glory.
Yeah. Woo!
No pressure. Morning. As Lindy said, my name is Jan, and I am the very proud mother of 3 children. Matt is 32 and he's married to Myra. Luke is 30 and he's engaged to Andriana. And Emily is 28 and, by the way, is single. I told her I was going to say that, so who knows that parenting is hard. And I'm going to share some of my parenting fails, and no judgment, please. I can remember cooking dinner, which is a rare thing nowadays anyway, but Matthew came and bit me on the back of the leg. And I got such a shock that I turned and I just swiped like that, and he ended up on the other side of the room. He also never bit me or anyone else again. I do not condone violence, though. The other one is that I can't remember how many kids at this stage I had, but I was feeding one child and Matthew was here doing something, and obviously he was annoying me because I kind of hit him on the leg, and I said, "Get to your room." I'd had enough by this stage, no sleep and whatever. I said, "Get to your room," and he wouldn't move, so I said it last time and they know, and he started crawling to his room. I dead-legged him and he couldn't walk. That was not my proudest moment. It doesn't get any better. We were getting ready for school one morning and it was especially bad, and it was just chaos and we were running late, and I said, "Get in the car, it's time to go." And 2 out of 3 were in there, and I obviously started moving because Matthew yelled out, "You just ran over my foot." So I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Well, get in the car and be more organised tomorrow." I've lost my spot. So anyway, I think that's probably enough, and I think I've gone right out of sequence here. Okay, I have gone. I think I've got rid of half of it. It says in Proverbs 22:6 to start children off on the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not turn from it. And in spite of all my failings as a parent, and they are only a few of them, and let's not even start on the father, but I'm going to give you some of my top tips for raising children. And just before I do that, I do think that I just felt that there are parents here today that feel guilty about what's happened and their parenting. Let it go. None of us is perfect, and there's always going to be those things that bother us and we feel guilty about. But, you know, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay, my top tips: be consistent. Kids need boundaries, and they feel much more secure when they know the rules and they stay the same. Don't keep moving the goalpost. The second one is say what you mean and mean what you say. So if you say to the child, "Go and pick up your toys, and then after that you'll have a snack," that child will not eat again until those toys are picked up. So, oftentimes it's a lot easier just to go and do it yourself, but you're not teaching them anything. This one is don't sweat the small stuff. And especially as they're older, pick your battles. This particular night, we were all as a family waiting to see if Emily had got into uni. And she went online and she said, I didn't get in. We were devastated. And all her friends were posting that they got their first preference, and it was very stressful. And so anyway, she went off to her room, and I'm thinking, how do I fix this one? What do we do here? A little while later, she comes out and she said, I got in. The site had crashed, and when she went back in, she could see that her name was there. So, I carried that. When I was speaking to them last night and telling them what I'd be saying, she said, what are you saying? What's the story about me? And I said that one. She said, I don't even remember that happening. That is something I've carried with me. And so I just remember that there are many things that we carry that we don't need to carry for our children. She'd had fights with her friends, and I'd be saying, what about? And she said, what are you talking about? That's my best friend. So let it go. They get over it. We shouldn't hold on to it. The next one is don't isolate yourself. Now, I've been lucky enough and blessed enough to have great friends, and a lifelong friend that had kids the same time, and we were all together. But when they hit school, we would have a little school coffee group, and we would get together and talk about all the issues of schooling. We'd have a great laugh. The kids would be outside playing, and it just was good for the soul. We needed that. And when I was saying this to Emily, she said, you used to lock us outside. Not at my house, so I don't believe that, but we'd also throw food out. They were fine. And the last one and the most important one is prayer. It's something that's got me all the way through this, and in their teenage years it was like pray without ceasing. I would just about do that the whole time. And when things get overwhelming, pray. When you don't know how to handle something, pray. When things are going great, pray. Be thankful. Be thankful. And when I reflected on these things, I realised that these are principles that are useful in all areas of our life, and especially our Christian walk. Be consistent. Read your Bible. Attend church. Don't sweat the small stuff. Sometimes easier said than done. On thinking back, most things don't seem so big. Some things that seem so big at the time don't even rate now. 1 Peter 5:7 says, cast all your cares on him because he cares for you. Just give it to God. Give it to God. Don't isolate yourself. There are many things throughout the church. There's go to a community, go to regulars, the play group, go to craft that we have once a month. There are many people here that are happy to go on the journey with you. Ask for help. Don't do it alone. There are always people that can help. And the last one, prayer. Prayer changes things. Just pray. And my final thing is, and if I can have that picture up, please. I've got a grandchild. And I just like to say that everything I've said here does not apply to her. She can do whatever she wants. And it's my great privilege now to hand over to Tanya, and I'm very pleased to hear what she's got to say.
Yay. There's a lot of faces here. Jan, can I just say, I want to be like you when I grow up. Now, bear with me. I'm going to introduce myself because a lot of you don't know who I am. My name is Tanya Montanaro. I was raised in an Italian family. Thank you. I've got a dad who's 91 years of age, a mum who's 88, and I have an older brother and sister. Now, I'm going to put my glasses on because I can't see anything, so I apologise in advance for looking over. I have two handsome sons. Elijah, who's 20 years of age and currently living in Port Lincoln, and Isaac, who is 19 years of age, who's here today and lives at home. And can I just say, Isaac's a good-looking kid. He's tall, dark and handsome. Clearly, he takes after his mother. All right, allow me to be real for a moment and tell you a personal story about myself. I'm married in my early 20s. My marriage ended when the boys were only 2 and 3 years of age. I raised them both on my own. as a single mum. I have to be honest, Mother's Day has not always been a happy time for me. Because for me, it just highlighted the fact that I was doing it alone and I was a single mum. When my marriage ended, as you can imagine, I was devastated. I felt betrayed, upset, hurt, and everything else you could possibly think of in between. At that time, I was a stay-at-home mum. I had no income. I was scared, and I often thought about how I was going to do things. How am I going to get a job? What am I going to do with the kids? My mind just wouldn't stop. I focused on the things when they were small, but then I also focused on the things when they were older, like how am I going to help them do the Year 12 homework? They're toddlers, and I was thinking way ahead. And how am I going to teach them how to drive? What car are they going to drive? So my mind was doing this. I focused on the hows and the what ifs. It was a scary thing, thinking that I was going to face the future with 2 young boys on my own, and how would I do it all? One day, I vividly remember being over anxious, worried and fearful about how I was going to face the future with 2 little boys, and how would I survive? How would I provide for them? I was upset this particular day because literally I had $7.20 in my bank account, and that's not a lie, I literally had $7.20 in my bank account. That night I had a dream. Now, for those of you that know me, I don't have these kind of dreams. I want more, but I'm not getting them. In my dream, I was standing at the end of my bed and my arms were out like this, and I fell back onto the bed and I was crying and I was saying, how am I going to do this? I can't do this. How am I going to survive? I can't cope. What am I going to do? Now, this is still in my dream. In the corner of my bedroom, a huge masculine angel with all feathers appeared in the corner of my bedroom, and a light came out. And he said to me, come to me, follow me, I will protect you and look after you. Don't worry, come to me. The next morning I woke with such peace. That day I opened up my Bible and I started to read Psalm 91. And especially verse 4. He will cover you with his feathers, he will shelter you with his wings. His faithful promises are your armour and protection. That evening, a box full of fruit and vegetables was left at my front door. And to this day, I still don't know who put it there. But for me, that was just a confirmation that God's got it for me. Day by day, I just kept holding on to God, and it became clear to me that God was saying to me, focus on me, I will do the rest. Focus on me and I will do the rest. As I began to focus on God and rely on him more and more, I began to see his amazing, trustworthy character. I began to see his faithfulness in my life, his compassion in my life, his protection in my life, his provisions in my life, and so much more. Time and time again, I saw God's faithfulness in my life. I'm blown away by how much God has done for us and protected us and provided for us. Now, has the journey been easy or hard? It's been hard at times. Do I have it together? Absolutely not. Am I perfect? Well, some may say I am, but I'm not. I'm definitely not perfect. Do I have meltdowns and rant and rave? Yep, I do. And do I feel like I've messed up at times? Of course I do. And sometimes I feel like I'm not that loyal to God. But I know that no matter how I'm feeling or how I'm coping or not coping, I know that the Jesus that I love and serve has and continues to be faithful. He continues to be my hiding place, to be my protector, to be my provider, and to be my rock. The truth is, the boys and I never really walked alone. God walked with us the whole way and continues to do so. You'll be happy to know that both the boys passed Year 12. They both got their licence and they both drive. Now, I actually really enjoy Mother's Day, and I always say I should get 2 presents for doing double work. I'm very thankful for my family and my friends for walking this journey with me. And I know that sometimes Mother's Day can be a bit awkward and sad for some single mums, so I just want to say a big shout out to single mums this morning. Now, Rachel, over to you.
Well, happy Mother's Day. Cool. So for those who don't know me, I'm Rachel Scott. Is there a picture of my... Oh, look at them! So I'm 31 and I have the world's most beautiful children. Harriet, who is 4, and Freddie, who's 10 months old. And it's such a privilege to share with you today a little bit about my motherhood journey thus far. I'm only 4 years into this journey, and already it is everything the cliches say that it is. It is an all-consuming love that is so testing, wonderful, tiring, fun, and everything in between. I feel like I've never known so little and learnt so much all at the same time. I really needed some structure talking today because I love to talk. And particularly with my children, I have a really, really terrible gauge at whether what I'm saying is interesting or... Rachel Burton is laughing because that is literally what I do to her. I'm like, Freddie said gaga, and she's like, exciting. Like, my gauge is really, really awful when it comes to my kids. So truly, like, just tell me it's boring. It's fine. But honestly, it's just because my kids are just so beautiful and they're fun and clever, and I just want to brag about them all day long, even in stuff that seems really boring to everyone else. So basically, to keep me in order today, I wanted to share 3 truths that God has revealed and is still revealing to me about motherhood, through motherhood so far. So one of the most amazing things for me about being a mum is that I get to see up close what it's like for someone to discover and learn about God for the first time. One of my most favourite things at the moment is travelling in the car with Harriet, because it's likely that one of 2 things are happening. We are singing Trolls 2, version of Ozzy Osbourne's Rock Me Like a Hurricane, or we're singing the latest worship song together. And Harriet's favourite at the moment is the song Jireh, or she likes to call it, let's sing the one about, I know who I am, I know what you've spoken. And the second one is that Harriet is just, she is deep in thought. She is getting theological, going back and forth with me, asking me questions about the Word, God, and Jesus. Often things that I've never considered, or if I have, I've definitely forgotten that I ever thought them. So lately, some of her questions have included, how tall is Jesus? Is he taller than Daddy? How did God make my heart? If my heart is so small and God is so big, how does he fit inside my heart? Mummy, do you know that God is so strong? Do we all go to heaven at the same time? I love her questions. And I think sometimes I'm okay at answering them, but sometimes I have no idea. And I tell her I have no idea. But I love that she has no fear of asking me things about life and about God, and that she has trust in me, that I would teach her or help her to figure it out. And little does she know that actually I'm learning so much from her asking me these questions. And lately her questions about God have really challenged me around this idea of childlike faith. I have vivid memories growing up of people praying kind of casually, I want us to have childlike faith. And I used to think that this meant believing without seeing, or believing without really questioning what our faith was. But Harriet is showing me that this is the complete opposite. She asks so many questions, and she has so much depth and meaning to them. Even ones that can seem really childlike or even funny are still marked with such beauty and curiosity and thirst for wanting to understand. And the truth is that I am learning. And so that is the first truth that I am learning, that childlike faith is certainly not shallow. To me, there is so much to be revealed through being a parent, and I've certainly experienced some deep loneliness at times, particularly on days where it is a repeat of feeding, changing nappies, drop-offs here and there, organising naps, changing nappies again, organising naps again, and it can honestly feel extremely mundane. And truthfully, I don't find these kinds of days easy, even though they sound kind of simple. It's highlighted to me even more, this deep need for connection and depth in relationships and friendships. And I felt so much inadequacy about my role as a mother at times than any other area I've experienced in my life. And I love this verse in 2 Corinthians, and it often comes back to me in times when I feel really out of my depth. So it says, "My grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ can work through me. That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses and in the insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong." I love this verse because it encourages me to be real with those close to me about my struggles and really bring them to light and allow God to release that guilt and shame that I can so often feel. I do not have it together, whatever that means, whatever that might look like, and I do my best. And on most days, I really think that that is enough. But there are certainly days where it does not feel like enough. And sharing this, being real and vulnerable with my trusted people, it actually helps me to see perspective and bring truth and light into my circumstances and situations. So that is the second truth that I am learning to live, that vulnerability really creates community. So my third and final truth is something very new, and for those that know me will know that this is hard. It's something I've resisted for a long time. I am a very extroverted person who loves to be busy. I love to fill my life with people, with activities, with fun. And recently, I'm really having to rewire this and learn to live slowly. Having Freddie and becoming a family of 4 has once again really shifted my focus of what it means to actually look after myself spiritually and mentally and physically. And my busyness and hurrying that I have adopted so well has actually affected this. I love this scripture in Matthew, and it's one that I've really just been meditating on, even just for the last week or so. It says in Matthew 11:28-30, It says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." You know, I've read that verse so many times in my life, and really it's just like I'm seeing it for the first time. In this verse, Jesus literally tells us the way to live. It is to rest in him when we are weary, to actually stop and slow down when we are feeling burdened. He is not asking us to do more or fill our days with people or serving so we ignore things that are hard or the things that we're feeling. He is telling us the key to life is to slow down and sit with him and be with him and learn from him. He was never hurried and he was never busy. When Jesus was tired, he rested. When he was weary after ministering to people, he rested. I don't believe that this is a problem exclusive to mothers, but more and more I see that myself and others, we just fill our days with task after task and activity after activity. And for me, there have been way too many times that I've been caught up in doing instead of enjoying right now and instead of being. And this includes just being with my children and enjoying them. Too many times I've bought into the lie that I can do and have it all. I'm learning to surrender and I am learning to rest. I am learning that living slowly doesn't equal a boring life. And that is the third truth that God is revealing to me very quietly and carefully, that living slow is not boring. And that actually rest is the thing that is going to bring me back to life. Thank you.